Hello, everyone. We hope you are all doing great. And thank you so much for joining us in today's session. Today's session is one of those which we have all been waiting very excitedly for. It's a very high level technical session focused on global taxation situation in the face of COVID-19. We have been receiving a lot of feedback from you all about conducting a session on this topic, and we can see that we have our esteemed guests with us. We have also seen that a lot of you have joined, and we have a lot of comments coming in. Thank you so much, everyone. First of all, we have Mr. Matthew Wong with us from China. Matthew is someone who has been leading the taxation scene for PwC in China and Hong Kong. Formerly, he is the partner of China. He is the partner for China Asset and Wealth Management, tax leader at PwC mainland China and Hong Kong. He has also been working tirelessly for the ACCA and professional fraternity. He works for us and represents us on ACCA's council. I've also had the honor to meet him at the International Assembly and seen how diligently he gives his time and mentor the younger ones. And we are also honored to see him as a very esteemed colleague and member at the Global Tax Forum. Thank you for joining us today, Matthew.
Thank you, Omer. First of all, I would like to wish everyone while watching these seminars safe and healthy during this difficult time. So I would like to address to some of the questions Omer want me to share my view on that. And it's a great opportunity to have this video conference, and hope I can give you some highlights on what you want to hear about that.
Fantastic. We are sure you'll do that, Matthew. But before that, I have to do something which is very uneasy for myself, introduce myself, because I'm playing the host too. So as you guys probably know, my name is Omer Zaheer Meer. I'm also honored to be contributing at ACCA's Global Tax Forum and a member of the International Assembly, as well as part of the editorial board of ACCA's Policy Insights and Professional Experts Forum. I'm also the second time unanimous chair of the ACCA MNP, as well as the fifth time chair of the Taxation Committee of ACCA Pakistan and part of the Mentoring Forum. Professionally, I'm the managing partner at MLCC, that's Millennium Law and Corporate Company, which, Matthew, you'll find it more exciting, is the pioneer ACCA and legal practicing firm in the entire region. And our ex-president, Brian McHenry, especially flew to Pakistan during his tenure to grant us the first practicing license. So that's about me. With that, we'll formally start today's session. So the format today is that we have 4 key questions that we have received from ACCA community of taxation professionals from around the world. I was just telling Matthew in the studio before that we have received questions from UK, from Malaysia, from Indonesia, from Australia, even from Africa. So it's quite a global event that's happening. We'll discuss 4 key areas first, on which Matthew will share his views with us, and then we'll take your question and answers. So the first point we are going to discuss is, we all know that COVID-19 changed the world like nobody expected. Nobody has planned for this event. It was one of those event, Matthews, that's like one in a lifetime event, and nobody could possibly have foreseen this. As a result of COVID-19, governments across the world had to resort to lockdown safety measures, which certainly impacted businesses. So the first question we are going to discuss is that, as a top tax professional, what do you think has been the impact of COVID on businesses globally and on China and Hong Kong, which was the manufacturing hub of the world in particular? So over to you, Matthew, please.
Thank you, Omer. To cut it short, I think the impact on business by COVID can be summarized in 2 words. One is unprecedented, as you mentioned. That has never happened before. The second word is far-reaching, so it have a big impact, and the impact will be far-reaching to more than just 6 or even much longer. So I think it is crystal clear that COVID has disastrous negative impact to business in developing country, in particular for those with large amount of small, medium-sized enterprises, or for those that are heavily rely on export and tourism. Globally, we have lived with COVID for around 10 months. China was the first country being hard hit by COVID, but it is also the first country get the virus being contained effectively so far. In Asia, we have seen Taiwan and Thailand also having good control over the pandemic, and the business are already recovering. Hopefully, will have a very good future in next years. In Europe and North America, we see there is another emerging second wave of outbreaks, which may offer another hit to business in general. So for Europe and North America, they are also major market to Asian exporters. This second wave would cause further delay on the recovery of global economy. Now, COVID also create increased volatility to the stock and bond markets, both for developed and developing country. We can see a lot of cases that initially, shocks on pandemic has triggered panic sells and market corrections. On the other hand, when there was news on vaccine launches, stock market jump up again. So this is an increasing volatilities. As we look back from the very beginning of this year, we can see that business has been reacting to these COVIDs at different stage, and it has different impacts to the business. At the first initial stage of COVID, business have never been prepared for that. And even many governments have underestimated its impact. So at this stage, business leaders were at a stock stage, and they are very busy developing their BCP, business continuity plan, and crisis management. Common plan will include keep your people safe and healthy, work from home, remote working arrangement, etc. Basically, it's crisis management. At the second stage, when COVID has been stabilized in some country like China's, business start to look at those issues, how to maintain the liquidity and solvency. Better cash management is the most important point for them to continue to survive, in particular during the cold winter. Now, in certain country, at the back end of this year, they have been going into the initial recovery stage, including China. So, in China, some businesses are looking for opportunity to deal with the new normal. There are certain industry that even benefit from the COVID. For example, pharmaceutical industry is one that attract a lot of capitals, a lot of new sales. Have been very active in the markets. On the other hand, we have also seen that those new economy company, online company, like Alibaba is performing very well. They exceed the sale, maybe 30% or even more, and the people has a lot of bonus. So for this business which benefit from the COVID effect, they have been proactively taking opportunity in this recovery period or initial recovery periods. This will involve more acquisition M&A types of activities to increase their market shares. Their valuation of the company is good, so they may go IPO or secondary listing to raise more capitals. and they may be further transforming themselves to take advantage of the COVID landscape.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Are you carrying on?
One more point is that, obviously I have said a lot of good things. Some industry may need to face, COVID difficulties for a longer period of time before recoveries. For example, travel industries, hotel industry, and related hospitality business. For these types of industry and sector, the key issue is cost control. There could be pay cuts, frozen highs, scale down. These are inevitable. We are very sympathetic to such situation, but business is business. Nothing is personal. Business needs to be fit for survival in this ice cold winter world if they are in a very difficult industries. This also applies to SMEs, small and medium enterprises. Say, for example, in China, the China Premier Liquor Chain in June have been calling for the revival of the street stall economy as a means for small and medium enterprises to survive and gradually recover from the pandemic. I think, I give you a kind of my overview on the business impact arising from COVID, based on our experience over the last 10 months.
Okay. We'll continue this in the follow-up question. And thank you so much, Matthew. I think you covered it beautifully, especially the focus on how it's impacting different industries differently and how some businesses have to prepare the survival plan while the other have the opportunity to capitalize on, like you very rightly mentioned about the pharmaceutical industry. So I'll quickly give the perspective from Pakistan and Middle East perspective, and then we'll move on to the second question. Likely, it's quite similar to what you shared about China because globally, the impact has been similar. However, because in Pakistan and particularly in Middle East, the manufacturing has been on the lower side. So the global shutdown has led to the encouragement within the local circles to invest, especially in Pakistan, towards manufacturing. I know people have started setting up factories for mobile phone manufacture, even for more of the car assembly units, the cement manufacturing units, pharmaceutical definitely. So they say there's always an opportunity in a crisis. So while some businesses are facing difficulties, there are opportunities for the other businesses. And I will second Matthew's opinion here that some businesses who are in difficult and tough industries like airline, travel industry, tourism industry, which are probably the hardest hit, need to seriously plan about their survival. I think that's pretty much it on this question. Let's move on to the next one. The next question was somewhat covered in your response here, Matthew, but let's deliberate a bit more on this. This question is from a taxation expert based in the Western country. Okay, I'll even take the name. The guy is now currently based in the UK. And the question is, what do you guys think has been the impact of this economic slowdown on the taxation revenue collection by the governments worldwide, especially in your regions? Great. So would you like to go first, Matthew? How has this impact on businesses impacted the taxation collection?
Well, I think the simple answer to this question is that tax revenue will drop as a result of the economic turndown. The question boils down to how to tackle this tax revenue drop by different governments. In normal times, government will introduce new taxes such as digital tax, or new measures such as the BEPS 2.0 initiative, or do more tax audits on large taxpayers like multinationals. Try to collect more underpaid tax from these larger taxpayers. However, COVID is different. COVID create a lot of difficulty to people. It is a public health crisis. It also affects a lot of people's life and well-beings. So it is not right for the government to increase the tax burden at this time to create additional pain to the people. Well, over the world, we have seen many different governments are not increasing the tax at this stage, but introduce more tax relief or fiscal relief to ease the problem of the public at large, at least over the last 10 months. We anticipate more aggressive tax measure will only be introduced by the government after the economy has gone through a good recovery stage. For some countries, it may happen in the second half of next year, like China or even US. For others, it may happen only in 2022 or even longer. So when this happens, I would expect that OECD-backed Initiative 2.0, taxation of digital economies, economic substance rules for offshore jurisdictions like Caymans would become the tax hot topic again.
Totally agreed. I would just like to add one more thing that especially as the COVID restrictions would start easing up, hopefully we'll be able to find a cure or medicine sometime early next year or in the middle of next year, as a lot of pharmaceutical industry and companies are investing a lot in that, which should bring a bit of relief. Once that is done, in addition to what you rightly pointed out, digital taxation, etc., the topic of transfer pricing and other upcoming technologies and their transition into the existing taxation systems will become the hot topic again. Because once the global trade will start flowing again, even if it's through more digital mean, transfer pricing will become more important. But I totally agreed with your feedback. Thank you so much for drawing the attention to that. Let's move on to the next question, which is a very, very interesting question. And the smile on my face should prepare you for what is to come, Matthew. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, this question has been asked by a member based in Nigeria. And he has asked, Mr. Omer and Mr. Matthew, can you please share about the major taxation reliefs announced by your countries to facilitate the businesses and come out of the COVID situation? Can other economies also replicate these measures for the same, as the economic structures of different countries are different? Thank you. So, Matthew, please first go ahead, being our honored guest. Your views, what are the measures introduced by China to help the businesses, and can other economies learn from it and use the same measures?
Well, for China, more than 300 tax preferential policies were issued by local municipal governments during the first 3 months of this year for prevention and control of COVID. Well, to sum up, these cover a few main major policy. First of all, would be the duty-free importations of those medium level of custom duty on importation of many different goods and products. So the duty-free importations of COVID prevention and control materials and equipment is one of the immediate kind of tax policy to improve the situations. Then, China has a very complicated VAT regime. So on the VAT side, China has imposed or offer the VAT exemption for transportation services on necessity and PPE products. There is also VAT exemption on corporate donations to hospital or charitable organizations. On the corporate income tax side, China's corporate income tax is 25%. So, under the COVID situation, China has introduced full corporate income tax deduction on donation to hospital and charitable organizations. It extends the tax law carry forward for COVID losses from the normal 5 years to 8 years. It also offers one-time full tax deduction on equipment for anti-pandemic purposes. On the personal tax side, it offers again through individual income tax deduction on donation to hospital and charitable organizations. It also offers individual income tax exemptions for allowance and bonus to medical staff. It also offers individual income tax exemptions on medical supplies and medicines offered by the employers to the employees. So I don't think there is a very big kind of tax relief offered to corporate and individuals overall. One of the reasons is that before the COVID, China has already a significant reduction on its taxation in response to the U.S. Tax reform introduced by Trump. Trump introduced a much lower corporate income tax at 0.5%, while China has responded a year before to try to reduce its indirect tax for a certain percentage. So there has not been too much room for further tax reductions. Now, in terms of support to employment, the China also offer a numbers of month exemption on social security contributions by employers. The exemption will be in full for small and medium-sized enterprise. For large enterprise, they offer still offer 50%. So that is what have been introduced by the Chinese government. Now, from an OECD perspective, when we look at multinationals, their concern is when there is a kind of lockdown to their employee, in particular for those multinational which are high, different employees may be hiring a Pakistan employee that work in US, but because of COVID, he came back to Pakistan and stayed for more than 183 days. That from a technical tax perspective, that may create the MNC a permanent establishment to Pakistan, which may not be too helpful for the MNC. I think OECD has introduced some directives saying that in this situation which is considered temporary and exceptional, this would not create an unfavorable permanent establishment consequence for MNC having a presence in China because of their employee being locked down and work from home in their home country. And China has similar response to OECD's directive, putting this as a concessional treatment during this difficult time. So I stop here and let Omer, you will talk about the situation from your perspective.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Matthew. That was really an eye-opener, and I'm sure our audience has learned a lot about how China has dealt with the situation, particularly in terms of taxation reliefs and business incentives. Interestingly, it has been largely similar, the case with Pakistan, perhaps because we are iron brothers. So Pakistan has been doing somewhat similar to what China has been doing. First of all, unfortunately, Pakistan has quite a bit of a complicated taxation system. There are 79 different taxes, federal, provincial, local government at all different tiers, Obviously, they are not all applicable at every business, but in total, there is that number of taxes, and 30 plus different authorities administered these taxes. Now, when COVID hit the world, especially Pakistan, Pakistan was already struggling with an economic pressure and just was in a phase where it was correcting its economic policies. Pakistan was focusing on balance of payment, reducing the fiscal deficit, the trade deficit, setting the macroeconomics right, etc. When COVID hit at that point, it was most sensitive for Pakistan because, unlike many other countries, it did not have much room to maneuver. However, what it did was something very smart. It resorted to something known as smart lockdown. Pakistan was perhaps the only country in the world which did not shut down the entire cities, considering the economic impact, the situation, and all. But it focused on a very intelligent policy of smart lockdown, where the armed forces, different services assisted the government with using artificial intelligence and data analytics. So, for example, Matthew, if you arrived in Pakistan and after quarantine, you went to meet a friend, and that friend had been diagnosed with COVID-19, the system was so effective that they would trace you, they would contact you, they would do your test free of cost, and if needed, take you to a hospital. So that was the level of system being operated. And we saw the result. BBC published an article that it has been amazing. And the UN itself called Pakistan that how have you dealt with the situation despite meager resources. On the other front, the question in hand, which ties up with these measures, is that what this smart lockdown did was allow the normal in-country economic activity to largely continue. There are two major industrial and economic sectors that drive Pakistan's economy: agriculture and construction. Government introduced huge incentives for that. Tax amnesties were launched. An entire construction industry package was introduced. And needless to say, there was incentive in terms of duty-free import on all medicines, medical equipment, anything to do to fight with COVID, and not just that, even beyond that. Uh, Pakistan already had exemptions on donations, but to registered charities and hospitals. So the process of registration was made simple, and more such institution got within the ambit. Similarly, government incentivized the upcoming technology-based industries. There was already a policy of tax exemption, which was further strengthened. Uh, a Russian digital account was introduced to encourage overseas Pakistanis to send remittance and encourage more investment in Pakistan. So, and there has been many other incentives, but looking at the time, I think I'll put a break here, and you can contact me more if you want to learn about this. Now, the second part of the question: can these measures be relevant to other economies, as the structure of every economy can be different? I think it's a brilliant question, Matthew. You would agree. Some of these measures largely certainly can be replicated. For example, the taxation relief, not squeezing the lower segments too much, focusing more on the digitalization and new trends of doing businesses coming out of this COVID situation. So these can be easily replicated, but some might need consideration. So, for example, for Pakistan, agriculture and construction are the lead in segments. They might not be for a country based in, let's say, in a Western hemisphere or in Africa. It might be different. There might be different economic sectors that drive the growth there. So these policies that focus on individual segments need to be taken with a caution and focus on the local economy, but the overall general reforms can be replicated. I think you'll agree with that, Matthew. If you would like to anything on that from the Chinese perspective, please.
Well, yeah, I think Pakistan's approach is also very pragmatic, and it relies on a lot of technology to support people. I think that is an interesting move. and it is important with all these new technologies and it will offer a lot of additional support to the people at large.
That's great. So that brings us to the most exciting question, and one that we have been asked a lot, and we even discussed at the Global Tax Forum's last meeting, Matthew. In simple word, what does the future look like? Will we go back to the old normal, or will there be a new normal? If the new normal, what would that look like for the businesses and for the taxation profession? So, a very interesting question, Matthew.
Thank you. That is a big question. We don't have the crystal ball. We can never have a full picture of future. I think what we can see is we can look at the global trend to see what would happen in future, and with that future, how that landscape will have an impact to the future tax regime and future tax cooperations globally. Now, first of all, we can see that the world's leading economy or the Asia leading economy are turning inwards. You can see this has also been intensified by COVID because of the lockdown, because of the fact that each nation want to have self-sufficiency for COVID control and prevention materials. So I think that is a global trend, and this trend may not change until there is a swing back to the old situation that focus on global economy, globalization types of things. Another trend is digitalizations. Part of the economy, or the large part of the economy, will become more digitalized, and it will affect the business model. It also affect the life of our people, our staff, our friends, etc. Many things become virtual. We use more of Zoom or other teleconference equipment more often. That make our life more sophisticated. The current situation is that we can always finish our meeting on time if we do it on conference call. But if we do it on face-to-face meeting, there will be more network time, coffee time. We always try to overrun ourselves. So that is the situation we have seen. Then from an overall perspective, I think we should be cautiously optimistic about the future of the world. COVID will come away sometimes, not necessarily by the end of this year or even by the end of next year, but we will come away. Now, with all the new things we learned during these difficult periods, our economy will be more effective. Our people will be trained on all these new tricks and new technologies, and some of them are smarter, some of them may not be so fast in learning, but ultimately they will learn all these new tricks to make themselves more productive. So I would say that if we can rely on the new technology, our life would be better, our business will be more effective, and we would have more spare time to have work-life balance, and the economy will have better performance at the end of the day. But we have to be patient, because we are still waiting for the vaccine and to change it back to normals. And I think during these interim periods, business and are in the process of transforming. People are in the process of transforming. They have to learn a lot of new skill sets. Like in my firm, we are uh, telling our staff to be digitally fit. That means, in addition to having the technical knowledge of accounting and tax, they should also have a lot of good IT knowledge. In the past we already have IT knowledge and we use Excel, we use PowerPoint, but now we are asked to use more sophisticated RPA tools like UiPath, Octrus, platform types of software, so that they can help us to develop more RPA process. So at the daytime we work, at the nighttime we let the robots will finish our jobs. So that make ourselves more effective and efficient, and this is as important as they sit for professional accounting examination. They have to sit for examination for UiPath, Octrix, etc. So that is for the business.
No, no, please carry on.
Then on the tax side, sooner or later when economy come back, we will expect that the government will want to get a fair share of their revenues to support the country, and also to make good the deficits they have made over the COVID periods. So those OECD-backed initiative, which include permanent establishment, transfer pricing, the use of IP, the anti-harmful tax structure types of legislation will come out more often and more rigorous on one hand. On the other hand, because the development of the digital economy, so the taxation of the digital economy become very hot topic. This would create a change of the taxing rate of different nations. May not be agreeable by all the nations. So there may be a new global framework for double taxation treaty protocol. The technology companies may not be able to enjoy the competitive advantage now because they normally set up in low tax jurisdictions and then and do global business through their server all over the world. So there will be a new set of tax rules to try to collect the right amount of tax from them. So this is one of the hottest topics. But again, because the big economy or country are turning inward and looking for self-sufficiencies, there may not be a good agreements on how to allocate and share the tax rights. So there could be more international dispute on that. These types of bilateral process is very important for us to reserve conflict, in particular for multinational business.
Very well said. Challenges to look forward to. Matthew, it's very difficult to speak in the end because almost all the points are already covered. And I was telling you yesterday that the brochure for this program said that we have a tax guru from China coming in. And you were kind enough to say another from Pakistan. So people can see why we use those terms here. Very well said. I would largely agree with what you have said. Certainly, in terms of how the future would look, I agree we don't have a crystal ball. But I also believe, Matthew, the change already happened. Many businesses used to think that the adoption to technology would take some time. But the lockdown, this situation forced them to adopt. And those who couldn't adopt started becoming irrelevant. So even in more developed nation, working from home was thought of as a taboo and used in rare circumstances, and that immediately became a norm. And people used to say, meetings online? Oh, no, no, no. you would miss the personal element. The meeting has to be in person, right? See that smile, you can relate with that. And now suddenly, majority of all the meetings are happening online, and only very important meetings are taking place in person. So the change has already happened. Reverting back to the old normal might not be the thing. The one thing COVID did was make us all aware that we are more ready for technology adoption than we thought. Now that we have become used to it, even after a medicine is discovered, and we pray that happens quite soon, a lot of these things will stay. It won't happen that immediately businesses will leave all the technology adoption that is done. So that is there. How many things continue and how we build upon that is something that is yet to be seen, and that would certainly depend a lot on how long does it take to discover a medicine, how long we stay in these kind of restriction, because human nature is such that we always find solutions. So the longer we stay in such situation, the longer we will be motivated, the businesses will be motivated to find new answers. So that's that. In terms of the other part of the question, um, I'm not going to touch the international impact because I totally agree with what you said. And we held a think tank session just the other day, Matthew. And I'm honored to share that I shared exactly the things that you said. So we are totally on the same page. One thing I would like to add is in terms of the future of the profession, there was already discussion that the regular compliance and routine tasks would start becoming irrelevant. Software and robotics would take that over. It started happening in China, as per my knowledge. In Pakistan, it also started happening. We got softwares for client audits, and they were being tested. Again, the COVID situation speeded up the process. So a thing that might have taken three, four, five times the amount of time is taking much quicker to accept and adopt to now. And this will continue the longer the lockdowns go on. Secondly, the role of the chartered accountant or finance professional, as I see and believe, is that it would become more towards value addition, not just compliance and all. So I'd love to use the term finance professional instead of just being an accountant. So we might be looking at a future where robotics, data analytics, artificial intelligence would be doing the routine compliance work, and the human input would actually be to add value, the thing that the machine cannot bring in, the subjective judgment, the human element. And that would be the kind of future we would be looking at. Do you agree?
Sure, I agree. So we come across a lot of tax investigator in China. They are using all kinds of software to do tax audit, and they also maintain a database to benchmark the companies. And they have a risk management system. They so call as when you have some uncommon transactions, payment of service fee in a large amount to overseas to related parties. We will pop up and invite the taxpayer to have a coffee or tea to further discuss this scenario.
Yeah. Matthew, we have a lot of questions, but if you have some time, can we take a couple of audience questions before we go towards concluding this session, if convenient for you?
Yes, I can do that. Hopefully, it would not be too many, and we can obviously answer at the next stage.
Agreed, totally agreed. So first of all, Matthew, there has been a lot of felicitations, a lot of welcoming, and somebody even mentioned that we want you to move to Pakistan, and we would try to get you engaged with the government of Pakistan to advise them on taxation reforms. Something that interests you?
Well, that is very honorable invitations. In fact, for those who remember me, I was in Pakistan in February 2018 to attend a conference held by ACCA and also the CPI with respect to the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So I meet a lot of good friends there. I have a taste of the Pakistan delicacy, including this ice cream with noodles, carrot cakes. Is an amazing experience. And we work closely with Ministry of Finance and tax authority and local government to try to give them advice on the tax policies they may want to adopt in order to achieve their physical or other objective to improve the economy.
Fantastic. So we will invite you again, and this time I'll be your host, and not just the ACCA session. We'll show you around a bit of history and nature that people fall in love with, and hopefully then you'll invite me to China too.
Sure. We have our China International Import Expos on Friday, starting from Thursday and for a week. So you can come to look at that. Well, it is a signature event for China to continue to engage with the global economies on taking more imports from the next part of the world. I think Pakistan may have approved that.
Agreed. It's just that, the situation regarding COVID. So hopefully in the next few months, once it has receded, I would definitely love to visit. And I would like to actually go through Sanjara Pass, the KKR, Karakoram Highway that connects Pakistan and China, because it's beautiful to travel on. So hopefully that would actually make it both a professional as well as a personal trip. So I would definitely be connecting with you, my friend, and I would love to visit China and explore more opportunities of cooperation. I'll share with you that ACCA started a series of Think Ahead with ACCA sessions. And the first topic that was chosen was basically China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And I was honored to represent ACC on that session, followed up by a lot of conferences on CPAC. And I'll share the videos of those with our attendees too. So CPAC is a project that is very close to my heart, and I believe that it will bring economic opportunities not just for Pakistan or China or for the region, but as the part of Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. It will create economic opportunities for the entire globe. So we are certainly looking forward to that, Matthew. The second question, and it says basically this question relates with our conversation. We were discussing that the current crisis is also a humanitarian crisis. So businesses need to ensure survival, and the government should try to make sure that they do not impose too many taxes on existing businesses, especially those that are facing problems. So one of our attendees has asked the question, the government also needs to survive in this crisis. If not increase taxation, then what alternatives do they have?
Thank you. I think different country has different situations, and for those country that has been operated in a normal situation, they should have a reserve, and they can use that reserve to fill in the deficits created for the well-being of the people. So they may use the reserve to improve the situations. They may use a monetary policy, we call this as quantitative easing, to provide additional financings to the business or the small and medium-sized enterprises. They can lower the interest rates so that small and medium enterprises would enjoy a better financing environments. And I think these are the on the financing side, what they can do. And I think the other thing is that they can also create a easier environment for business and people to operate. As I said before, our China Premier, Li Keqiang, has introduced these street stall economies to help small and medium size economies. So that is one way to do that.
That's great. Now we are coming towards the end, Matthew. So before giving you the chance to say the final words, we have the entire ACCA Pakistan MNP joining us. So they would all like to say hi to you. Let me just quickly introduce them. We have Mr. Arsalan Shabir, who is chairing our Employability Society. We have with us Mr. Ali Zaheer Meer, who is chairing our Entrepreneurship Subcommittee. We also have with us Ms. Fiza Imran. She is chairing our Women in Finance Society. We also have with us Mr. Murtaza Hassan, who is our MNP member and chairing the advisory initiative. We also have with us Mr. Salman Zafar, who is chairing the Corporate Governance Banking Subcommittee. We also have with us Mr. Salman Nishad, who is chairing the Corporate Governance Non-Banking Subcommittee. We also have with us Mr. Tahir Sartaj, who is chairing our Academia Subcommittee. We also have with us Mr. Maz Masood Ansari, who is also chairing our important initiatives. And we also have with us Ms. Kuratulan, who is a member of the MNP. Just a quick overview of some of the initiatives that MNP Pakistan has done. It has focused on an intensive CPT programs to not only upskill our members in local taxation and laws, but also soft skills. So I personally conducted over 100 CPD sessions, and most of them were 8 hours long. So we have done that for the ACCA fraternity. We also looked at increasing the earning potential of members. So we launched some key projects in our members. One of them was our aim is to get members, put them through a process of upskilling them, and then they come out and their incomes are targeted to be at least in 6 digit. Last year, Matthew, we ran a pilot project with 14 people, and I'm pleased to tell you that all of them, after completion of the project, got jobs or started businesses earning in 6 digit. This year, we expanded the program to 1,240 of our fraternity members, and this week the program will be concluding. So hopefully, I'll be sharing the results with all our fraternity members within a month. We also started a similar program, but a lesser duration program, 2 week, 2 strong, again with upskilling the members. We also started a program of engagement with employers known as 30 days 100 employers. So what we were doing was that within a 30 days time period, we would go to 100 top employers, corporate, etc., do ACCS branding, run sessions, create awareness. We also went in partnership with the chambers and created ACCA taxation clinics there, which I'm chairing. All the businesses are sitting there. It created a huge brand impact. We also signed MOUs with tax bars, giving us more visibility. We also went into partnership with the regulators, advises the government functionaries and finance ministry, putting out ACCS budget proposals, etc., and many other such initiatives. And I'm very pleased to tell you that our taxation subcommittee, which I'm also honored to be leading in addition to MNP, its taxation proposals last year were highly appreciated by the head office, and they are put on ACCA's central website as a guidance to our taxation committee across the world to follow. So, if you would like to share your feedback on all these initiatives that your fellow members and MNP in Pakistan is undertaking, and needless to say, this is in addition to the work that I do on the Global Tax Forum, on the editorial board of Policy Insight, and the International Assembly. So you are our senior esteemed member. If you like to say something to encourage our MNP, we would be extremely grateful. And then we'll deliver a final note of thank and conclude the session.
Thank you, thank you. Well, it's an honor to have so many MNP members and subcommittee chairs to join these events, to listen to our discussions I think MNP has a very meaningful agendas and how the community allot and support the Pakistan people and the economy, as well as the development of the taxation regimes here. So I hope your team every success in continue your objective, your initiative on all these things that will benefit to Pakistan economy and the business. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. So with that, it brings us towards the closure of the session. First of all, I would like to thank you so much, Matthew. You are not only a dear friend, you are also our senior taxation professional and someone we are very proud of. And obviously, needless to say, we are all one community, but like some brothers are closer to each other. I think that's actually the case between Pakistan and China too. Thank you for sparing the time today. I know this is one of the peak seasons with work commitments and everything else that is going on. You took time out for all our members. You shared the valuable insights, and I've been getting a lot of comments of appreciation, which I'll share with you offline too. I would also like to thank all our attendees who spared the time on a working day of the week. And I would also like to appreciate especially members who joined from countries where it was early morning hour. So Matthew, we even had attendance from UK. We started the session at 9 a.m. UK time, which is the office start time. So I was very pleasantly surprised that people even joined at that time. We have some people joining us from Nigeria, some people from Zambia, so some from Malaysia, Indonesia. So it's been quite a global attendance. Thank you everyone so much. And there have been comments that the session was very well done. Thank you guys. Your Q&A have really answered the questions we have. Request for having more sessions like these. So definitely we will plan more sessions like these in future. Thank you again to everyone. And thank you, Matthew. If you would like to say something before we close, a note of thanks. It's over to you now, my friend. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, thank you for Omer, giving me this opportunity to speak to your friends, your members in MNPs. And I look forward to have a chance to visit Pakistan again to meet with all these friends physically rather than online.
Fantastic. And please share, I'll share the video of the session. Please share this with our Chinese friend too, so they can also learn from our discussion and they can also see the positive vibes that are there for them in the Pakistani and rest of the world fraternity, which look towards China as a beacon of hope and someone we can learn from. Thank you, my friend. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.